Hi there, this is CUSD Math 7, Unit 5, Lesson 15, Solving Equations with Rational Numbers. First one's always our cool down from the lesson, so let's take a look at it real quick and at least read through it. It says the hiking club is taking a trip. The hike leaders watch shows that they gained 296 feet in altitude. Now notice it says that they gained, so there's going to be an increase here of 296 feet in altitude. Altitude is how high up you are. You know, if this is ground level, it's how high up you are. Again, they're hiking, so think about a mountain, right? So they've increased their altitude. They've gained 296 feet from their starting position. Their altitude is now 285. So what we know is they gained 296 from whatever the starting position was, and now they're 285. But there's no record of the starting altitude. Write and solve an equation, which means it needs to have an equal sign, to represent the situation and find their starting altitude. Okay? So we're looking and saying, all right, they started somewhere down here, right? That's what we know. And we know that they gained this much, they increased by this much, and they are now here. So write an equation that would put all that together in one nice form. Okay? So you can do that. I know it's possible. So let's move to number 2. You do number 1. Here we go. Number 2. A submarine is embarking on a voyage. The captain looks on his depth finder, which shows that the submarine is at a depth of 442 higher than the starting position. Okay, so let's take a little look here. I'm going to draw a little line. All right, we have a starting position somewhere down here. Okay. And it says the submarine is 442 higher than the starting position. So wherever they started from here to, let's just say here, this distance is 442. Okay? Their depth is now negative 540. So right here we're at 540, 550. And again, I could write negative, but we're dealing with under the water, so it really doesn't matter too much what that number is, positive or negative. I just know it's under the water. So write an equation, represent this situation to find their starting depth. This is a lot like the first problem, right? So what happens here is we know that there is a starting point, right? And then they're going to add 442 feet, right? Or yeah, feet, go there. And that they're going to get to a place of negative 550. Okay? So I have my starting point. I'm going to go up. That's my increase in elevation, 442 feet. I'm going to arrive at negative 550. Now, if I was asked to solve this, we would solve it by doing what? We would subtract 442 from both sides. And in doing that, we would have 801. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Don't subtract. Don't do that part. It is right, subtract, but when I subtract a negative minus a negative, what do? I have to actually add. Okay, because the signs are the same, I have to find the sum. So we go 2, 9, 9, and I keep the sign the same. So that's a little tricky part there. I got ahead of myself. Which means that this starting point is actually at negative 992. Okay? So if you think about it, that makes total sense. I'm at negative 992 feet. And then I increase 442, so I'm going to be going up my number line to negative 550. All right, number 3. In Death Valley, Furnace Creek has an elevation of negative 170 feet below sea level. If you started a journey starting there and then drove to Badwater Basin, whose elevation is 282 feet below sea level, what would be the change in elevation? So, quick little picture here, right? What are we talking about? So change in elevation, first of all, is going to be a magnitude. So magnitude means it's always going to be positive. So we're not looking for a negative number as a solution here. But think about what we're doing. Here's a number line. All right, this is elevation 0. Furnace Creek is at negative 178 for Furnace Creek. And then you're driving, and wherever you get to the Badwater Basin is right here at negative 282. So Badwater Basin. So what they're asking from you is to find out what is the change. What is the amount that takes to go from this number to this number? This is the change amount. And the difference between these two is going to be a positive number. It's just the magnitude. They're just asking for what's the difference, how far is it from there to there. Okay, I'll let you do that one. All right, number 4, we just have a series of problems here with some multiplication, fractions, decimals. Let's see what we have. So the first one, 5 equals x times 15. We want to divide both sides by 15 in order to get the x by itself. And then 5 goes into 15. This can be reduced down to, think about 5 and 15. 5 goes in here 1 time and then 3 times. So we end up with 1/3 is what equals x for number 4, BA. For this one, we're going to divide both sides by -6. Divide by -6, so that cancels out. 24 divided by 6 is 4, and a negative divided by negative is a positive, so it's a positive 4 equals n. And the next one, we're going to want the y to be by itself, so we'll subtract 4.6. We'll subtract 4.6. Now notice the signs are the same, so we're going to find the sum. So 2 plus 6 is 8, decimal, 4 plus 1 is 5, and a 1, and we're going to keep the sign the same. So negative 15.8. All right, over here, we're going to subtract a half from both sides. So the k stays k, and k is equal to a negative 10 minus a half. Again, the signs are the same, so we find the sum. 10 plus a half is 10 and a half, and we keep the sign the same, so it's a negative. And finally for E, we have 2/3 A equals negative 12. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal in order to cross that out. Over here, 3 over 2, it's positive, and I can reduce 2 goes into 12 6 times. So now I have 6 times 3, A equals 6 times 3, which is 18, but it's a negative 6 times 3, so keep it negative right there. All right, great. Number 5. Evaluate this expression. We have x equals negative 12, y equals 1/4, z equals negative 2/10. So what we're going to do here is you're going to plug these values into these places to then solve. Okay, so let's take a look real quick at B, just real quick here. So B, if you replace the variables with the numbers, you would rewrite it as 3 times what's x? X is minus 12 minus z. Now z is a minus 0.2. So I think the trickiest part with all these is making sure you set it up the right way. I use parentheses just so I can keep my variable things like where they belong and not get it too messed up, because I might have accidentally forgot a minus sign there, and you may have done that when you did it the first time too, so be careful. And in this process here, of course, we're going to remember that this is joined together by multiplication, so I'm going to have to multiply those together. So 3 times negative 12 is going to be negative 36. This is just subtracting that, so that becomes subtracting a negative is adding 0.2. Okay, which means when I do that, I got to put that back together. I have a negative 36 and a plus 0.2, so I'm going to end up with a negative 35.8. And you'd get that because you'd find the difference, right? I would do 36.0 minus 0.2 like this, because the signs are different. I'd borrow here, that becomes a 10, 10 minus 2 is 8, and then I have a 35.8, but I keep the larger sign, so that's how I got that right there. I'll let you do the other ones on your own, and I'm going to look at number 6 and 7 real quick. This probably makes a perfect orange paint. She uses 2 gallons of red for every 3 gallons of yellow. She wants to make 15 gallons of paint out of the perfect orange. So what do we know? We know that she uses red, she uses orange, and she has a total amount of paint that she produces with this recipe for paint. Oh, sorry, red and yellow. Red and yellow. So we have 2 red and we have 3 yellow, which makes a total of 5 gallons of orange. She wants to make 15 gallons. So we're going to put a 15 right here. And because we set it up like a nice table, we should be able to find that vertical relationship using multiplication or division. In this case here, how do you get from 5 to 15? You multiply by 3. So you want to do the same thing here and the same thing here, and then you have your answer. Number 7, the last one for today. It says the circumference of a table is, the circumference is 78.5 inches. What is the diameter of the table? And it says to use 3.14 for pi. So to solve this, you need to remember what the formula for the circumference of a table is, or circumference is. Circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. We're given the circumference, so we could plug that number in there. You're given a value for pi, 3.14. We could plug that in there, and then you solve for d. Alright, so work that out and see what you get. Alright, that's it for today. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.